Hey, I'm really excited because it is clinic season. All right, I'm James Vint, and I'll be traveling to speak at some clinics this year, and I want to share with you the topic I love speaking most about, and that is building character and culture with the Real Man program. And I will be in Dallas speaking about this, and of course some other things, some football topics, but this is where my passion is. So I'll be in Dallas February 4th speaking about the Real Man program, Detroit February 12th, Nashville the 26th, and then Seattle on March 4th. So it's going to be a great opportunity. I hope some of you guys come out, because I'm going to talk to you about some things that, number one, they're going to help you be able to make a better impact on the guys you coach. And number two, you're going to be able to be more successful on and off the field. And I'm going to tell you what we're going to talk about, and I'll give you a brief little intro here, will help you to be more successful and win more games. I'm going to ask you some questions here before we start. Number one, have you ever felt your team did not perform to their level of talent? We call this underachieving. Have you ever had a team that you thought was going to be better than what they ended up being? Have you ever had a stupid penalty or multiple stupid penalties at an inopportune or bad time? Have you ever had players that didn't take coaching, that refused to accept coaching? Have you ever had a team that imploded when things got tough? All right, we all probably have had this at some degree at different places we've been. I'll give you a little background on how we got into all this. So I was coaching in the Bronx, New York. We'd taken over Christopher Columbus High School, and anybody here familiar with football in New York City, Columbus High School was the worst program in the state, 27-game losing streak, 18 kids played football, and we're talking about a huge school with thousands of kids. And it was a place where when I was interviewing to teach and coach there, the principal said, I don't know why you want to coach here. You'll never win. You can't win. And they hadn't scored. They couldn't stop anybody. It was a bad deal. Well, our first year, we had the first winning season in school history. Second year, we made the playoffs. So we said, okay, we made the playoffs. That was great. And the next year, we kind of thought, well, we got to get better. We got talent coming back. We got good kid. We're going to get better because we've gotten better every year. We underachieved. We didn't have great leadership. We had guys that made poor decisions on and off the field. And we realized we had to do something a little bit different. And it started, we wanted to win games. I mean, that's where it all started. That was our goal, was to win games. And we said, well, we've got to do some things to win more games. But what we learned was it's way bigger than winning games. Way bigger. And we started focusing on all the things it's going to take to be really successful in life, to be a better father and husband. And when we started focusing on that, everything changed. The entire atmosphere of the program changed. The level of buy-in changed. We changed as coaches. All right? Here's something that I want you to realize. Everything is a choice. All right? Success is a choice. Don't let anybody tell you that you're a victim. You may have had things happen to you. All right? But what you got to do is take those things that happened to you and make it so they happened for you. What do they drive? How do they help you grow? All right? You are not a victim. You can choose success. Greatness is a choice. All right? Every day you wake up and you have a plan for greatness. Average is a choice. Mediocrity is a choice. Below average is a choice. Lazy is a choice. It's a choice you make. All right? Being a victim is a choice. Being on time, that's a choice. All right? Playing through the whistle, that's a choice. Being in a good mood, being positive around people, that's a choice. That doesn't require things around you. That doesn't require good things to happen just to be in a good mood. Man, we're in trouble. I mean, that's why so many people aren't very good at anything they do. And we have to teach this as coaches, that circumstances do not define you. Circumstances should not define who you are. You are not a victim of circumstance. Supporting and encouraging teammates, that's a choice. That's not a choice that you only make when things are going well. So that's what average and below average teams do. If things go well, we're going to support each other. When things go bad, we're going to implode. Everything is about being intentional. All right, as coaches, we have to have a plan. We have to teach our players to have a plan. We have to teach our players to have a vision. All right, to have dreams, to have goals. Teach them how to set goals. All right, and then what steps must I take to make my vision, dreams, and goals a reality? When we got to Columbus High School, David Diaz was the head coach. He didn't walk around and talk about we're going to win this many games. He talked about we're going to be physically tough. We're going to do this, this, and this. But he said we will win a Bronx championship. And people thought he was crazy. How can you be the worst team in New York City and then you're going to win a Bronx championship? But we did end up winning Bronx championships, plural. All right? We used to ask the kids, is what we're about to do, is this going to take you closer to or make you farther from your goals? It's a simple question. If it's going to take you closer to, it's probably a good thing. Farther from, probably a bad thing. But you have got to have a goal to strive. You got to have a dream. You got to have a little bit of crazy in you. If it is not out there a little bit, it's not big enough. All right? There's no small dreams allowed. If it seems like you could probably achieve it, make it bigger. All right? So you got to teach players, set goals, take steps, and you got to believe it as a coach. All right? As we started getting into character, we started off, we used a lot of different things along the way. I found Frank DeCoco's program when I was actually a head wrestling coach. And Frank had the R.E.A.L Man program. And just to give you a little background about him, we started talking, and he's so passionate about developing student athletes. And that's what he wanted to do, was see guys reach their full potential. You know, Frank worked with kids that came from backgrounds where they faced a lot of adversity each day. And he taught them to see the greatness they have inside, and he wanted to bring it out. So he developed the R.E.A.L Man program, and he started sending it out to high school and college coaches all over the country. And his mission was simply to equip coaches, teachers, parents, mentors to become better role models and develop an understanding of how to expand their influence, to be able to positively impact the lives of young people. I mean, that was his sole goal, was to help people develop their influence. And he came up with this acronym, and I've used it with boys teams, girls teams. I've used this in class, all right? But this is kind of the foundation of the R.E.A.L Man program. We're going to respect all people. That's the R. You don't respect people because of who they are, because of their title. You respect people because of who you are. We'll say that again. You don't respect people because of who they are. You respect people because of who you are inside at your core, all right? Especially women. We're going to treat women the right way. We're going to respect women, all right? Always do the right thing. Our goal is to make good decisions. Are we always going to make them? No. We're going to learn through those, all right? But our goal is to always do the right thing, knowing full well we're probably going to make a mistake here and there. And as we make those mistakes, we're going to learn from them. We're going to admit them, all right? We're going to learn from it, and then we're going to try not to do that again. Find a new mistake, all right? Failure is part of success. And then finally, we're going to live a life that matters. And this means you're going to go do big things, and then you're going to come give back. All right? You're going to give back to others. You're going to help uplift others. We're going to live for significance. All right? What we started focusing on was that impact as coaches. Instead of addressing just the muscles, all right, we wanted to address the heart. We coached their character, all right, because and I'm going to tell you, we went through, I remember calling my dad, and we didn't make playoffs. My dad was an old coach and was just retired at the time. And I said, you know, he said, how'd your game go? We didn't win. Didn't make the playoffs. He said, what happened? Man, Dad, we didn't have leadership. What did you do to teach it? We didn't have character. What did you do to teach it? Well, we thought that we were teaching it, but we weren't doing it intentfully. So we started to teach character and leadership with as much intent as we taught fundamentals and scheme. Why didn't we win games? Because we imploded, because we made mistakes, because we were selfish, because we didn't work as hard as we could at practice, because we weren't coachable, because we didn't always hustle, all right? Because in the weight room, we didn't always follow the program, because we'd skip a set, or we'd cut reps, or we'd cut weight, because we had guys that would show up late. There were a lot of things going on that kept us from winning. Not one of those was a football skill. Everything was outside of our football skills, all right? And I'm going to say this. It all starts with the relationships you build. Your relationships are a bank account, and you're depositing every day in that bank. If you're building those relationships, you're going to need to withdraw those funds when you coach a kid hard, when you set those high standards and hold them accountable, because those are difficult conversations. Well, if you've invested in that relationship bank, you're going to be able to pull that out. If you haven't, you won't. All right? You're going to be overdrawn, and that's when you're going to have a lot of conflict. So it's bigger than winning games. If all we do is win games, then we've wasted the opportunity that was in front of us. What we're trying to do is build responsible, accountable men who are going to be better fathers, husbands, and community leaders. We're not preparing them for a game, all right? We're trying to develop the tools they're going to need to be successful in life. But by doing this, you will win more games, all right? But the biggest deal is, if all you do is win, they need to fire you. Are you making that impact? Every day you have an opportunity to change the life of one of your students or one of your athletes. You can fill the void of something that might be missing. Let's look at some stats real quick, all right? There's a lot, and before I even start this, there are so many great, powerful single mothers that do such an outstanding job. But there's something special about the father being in the home, all right? 24.7 million young people under the age of 18 are being raised without a father. And that's stats from a couple of years ago, so I'm sure that number's increased. 43% of children right now are living without their dad in their home. And 71% of pregnant teenagers come from fatherless homes. 63% of youth suicides come from fatherless homes. 85% of incarcerated youths come from fatherless homes. Fatherless boys and girls are twice as likely to drop out of school, twice as likely to end up in jail, and 4 times more likely to need help for emotional or behavioral problems. That's why we see such a crisis in schools today, when we have SEL programs and we have to provide that social and emotional learning aspect. Well, as coaches, we have a responsibility to help fill this gap. There are countless young people, countless adults who look back and say that I had a coach. I had a coach that cared. I had a coach that did these things for me. All right. I was talking to one of my former players who grew up tough situation. He actually lived with his sister, kind of raised him, didn't really have parents, and just had a really rough home life. And he went on to become a teacher and coach and very, very successful. He's married. He's got 3 kids. And I talked to him about, tell me about your experience of playing in our program growing up. And he said, Coach, honestly, he said, the love that you guys, I'd never seen a man show love before. And to see my coaches that loved and cared as much as you did, that mattered. And he said it made an influence. And we have to remember that there are a lot of kids that are growing up right now without any positive males in their life. And some without positive females as well. We've got to show them and be that example. So what role do you play? Well, first, you got to teach character and leadership with intent. You can't just teach football or basketball, whatever you're doing. All right. Kent Jackson, who I coached with, he was the athletic director at Seminole and was the head coach at Coronado in Lubbock. And Kent used to tell us, in the classroom, do you teach English or do you teach kids? All right. Because if you're teaching English, you're not teaching kids. That may be your subject, but what are you doing? You got to develop them. It's the same thing in football. It's bigger than the subject matter. It's bigger than the drills. It's bigger than the fundamentals. It's how are you using that to teach greater skills that they're going to need the rest of their life. Sports don't teach, a lot of people say sports teach character. No, they don't. No, they don't, because if everybody played sports, they'd have great character. Great role models teach character. Great coaches teach character. Great parents teach character. All right? Great uncles and aunts and cousins. All right? Those people in those that have that opportunity to impact you teach character. Players teach character to each other. All right? We want to teach responsibility, decision-making, accountability, selflessness, and resilience. That's what we want to teach. So what are the benefits of teaching character, of intentionally teaching character and leadership? Well, you're going to have a higher team GPA. You're going to have less discipline issues, less stupid penalties. You're going to have young men that are reaching their potential and teams that have the opportunity to reach their potential. And you're going to have kids that will push through self-imposed limitations. Most of our limitations, kids and coaches, adults too, are self-imposed. Well, I could never do that. I can't do that. We tell ourselves that stuff all the time. We're always negative, telling ourselves what we can't do. Kids do it too. They're telling themselves what they can't do. It's why a lot of times they're afraid to try because they're afraid to fail. They're afraid, what are people going to think if I don't do this well? We've got to get them comfortable with getting out of their comfort zone and pushing through those limitations, even if they do fail forward. You're failing to get better. You got to teach them that. All right. So what do I do? First, you got to model it. You can't say one thing and do another. You got to live it, eat it, and breathe it. What goes in a man comes out of a man when he's squeezed. So you got to model it. You got to teach it. All right. Then you got to correct it. And then you got to reteach it. And then you got to praise it. All right. You got to praise it when they do it right. We get a lot of times we get real focused on what we don't do well. We got to remember that while we need to improve what we don't do well, we got to have accountability to that. We got to praise what we do well. All right. So what's the foundation for all this? Unconditional love. And what's the definition of unconditional love? All right. You hear about, I love you, dog. No, you don't. What is unconditional? We love you as much on your worst days as we do on your best day. We don't love you for what you can do. We love you for who you are. All right. That's important. A lot of times we love the jersey number. We love what that kid can do on the field. But do you love that kid as much off the field? Especially when that person might be hard to love. They might do things that make it difficult. See, that's unconditional love. It means you don't love them with conditions. There's nothing attached. All right. You're never going to give up on them. You can't ever give up on kids. All right. You can't. They're going to have enough people giving up on them. They need you believing in them, even when it gets tough. All right. Focus on the heart, not the ability. Focus on every single kid, the heart, not the ability. Coaches love players unconditionally. Players love each other unconditionally. That's the key. No conditions attached. You're going to love people even when they do things that it's hard to love them for. All right. Now let's talk about something very important. Standards and accountability. You have to have standards of performance. All right. You have to. This is the expectation. All right. You can't have, well-ish. Hey, be there-ish. Be there at 2-ish. All right. Because people are going to create their own ish. You can't parallel squat-ish. All right. This is our definition of parallel. Everybody's going to follow the standard. All coaches, all players. All right. But you got to have standards. And then here's the deal. You got to hold people accountable to the standard. It's only as strong as your accountability. All right. And standard's a standard. Everyone's held to it. All right. You can't have different standards for different people or different levels of accountability for different people because you will destroy trust. And when you destroy trust, you destroy love and you destroy your team. All right. You'll end up with selfishness. I'm going to get mine. I don't care if you get yours. In fact, I will take yours. All right. That is why a lot of talented teams fail, because they truly don't have the trust. Why don't they have the trust? Because there's inconsistent accountability and standards that are not clearly defined. And I want you to understand something. When we talk about unconditional love and never giving up on a guy, that doesn't mean that you don't hold them accountable. Accountability is love. I've seen a lot of coaches that do a great job of building relationships, but their players like them. They don't love them. See, their players like that they're nice to them and they make them feel good and they say things like that. But because they don't hold the player accountable, the player never gets comfortable being out of their comfort zone. They never get comfortable being coached, and they never grow to the level they could. And many times what we see then is a team that has a lot of talent, that as soon as things get hard, and it doesn't even have to be someone as talented as them, but someone who's more together than them, they end up losing to. They end up losing to people that don't have as much talent. All right. Accountability is love. Accountability is vital, because once your athletes learn accountability, they are going to strive to meet the standard. All right. They're going to learn to have difficult conversations. They're going to learn to get comfortable when it is uncomfortable. And I will tell you, David Diaz was an unbelievable role model to have when I was a coach, when I was first starting out. And I remember David came in and said, Dante's not playing, our tailback. So he's not playing this week. I said, how come? Because he skipped 7 period. What do you mean skip 7 period? How are we going to win without, he's our starting linebacker. He never comes off the field, starts at linebacker, starts at running back. I mean, we only ran 2 plays, Dante right and Dante left. And he said, well, he's not going to play. I said, how come? We need him. Can we do something else? He said, no. So we can make him run. We can make him do all this other stuff. He said, but playing time matters. He's going to learn not to be late. He's going to learn not to skip his responsibilities. So we played a game without our best player. We played several games without really good players early on. And as we went through the season and seasons after, the accountability continued to increase, because players knew if you don't meet the standard, there will be something to pay. There is some accountability. You are going to be held accountable to meeting the standard and to being the best version of yourself, because that's what this is all about, is being successful in life. You weren't going to be late. And the penalties, it's hard to not play your best player. But we got to a point where we never had to sit out our best players, because everybody knew the standard's a standard. And it didn't matter if you were the best player or the worst player. The standard was the same as far as all the things that take. Now, we're talking about the things that take no talent. All right. Obviously, some kids are going to squat more than other kids. That's how it is. That's genetics. We're not talking about the genetics things. We're talking about the things that take zero talent. Going to class, sitting in the front, paying attention, not getting in trouble, doing your schoolwork, being on time, working hard, hustling, finishing drills. All right. Being coachable. All of those things that everybody can do, regardless of talent level. You've got to do this with your team. Most coaches don't do it, I'm going to be honest with you, because it's hard. It's hard because you're going to have hard conversations. And a lot of guys, the first time that a player pops off back to them, they don't want to go through that again. All right? Or a player gets upset because maybe you haven't deposited in that bank yet. It's hard when you first start taking guys. And this was hard for me because I spent 7 years at Columbus High School, and we built those relationships, and they were so strong that we could coach kids so hard. And then I go to a new place and I forget that I don't have those relationships. I haven't invested in that bank. And it was hard because you get to start off with a bank account of zero, or in some cases, you're going to come out day one and you're going to end up overdrawn. All right. So I want you to understand that you must be willing to have difficult conversations. It will get easier. So how do we teach character? What are the logistics? I don't think you need more than 10 or 15 minutes a day, to be honest. All right. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Frank's program. Whether you use this, you use something else, you develop your own, you come up with words of the week, you must do this with intent. I would rather lose 10 minutes in the weight room or 10 minutes of practice if time is the issue, because this is going to be more valuable. All right. I know we're going to lose a set. We're going to lose a couple reps of this. We may not run this concept, but darn it, we're going to be better at everything we do, and we're going to be mentally tougher, and we're going to prepare kids to be good fathers and husbands. We're going to spend 10 to 15 minutes a day, tops. All right. Each lesson's divided into 5 parts. First down, second down, third down, fourth down. Overtime. Okay. There's your Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, day before the game. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to meet in small groups. We're going to have small group days, and then we're going to have team days. All right. We're going to rotate coaches leading large group discussions, and then each coach is going to be in charge of a small group. Here's the key. Everybody's got to be in. You can't have one coach go, man, I don't know why we're doing this, guys. Let's go sit over here because coach says we got to do it. Everybody's got to be all in. All right. Why are we doing this? Well, because our goal as a coaching staff goes beyond winning games. Like I told you, we want to develop guys, give them tools, give them skills to be the best people they can be. All right. Number one factor in determining success, Angela Duckworth, University of Pennsylvania, did a huge study. And it wasn't talent, and it wasn't how good looking you are, and it wasn't how smart you were. It was grit. All right. And grit comes from character. All right. We want to help guys develop character to overcome adversity on the field, in the classroom, and in their lives. We want them to learn through sport, and what we get, the vehicle we get to teach that, things that they will take with them in the future. I firmly believe that I'm a better father and husband because I taught this program. All right. And we want to help our athletes to go on and do that. And then we want to love each and every one of our athletes unconditionally. So the program consists of a box set. It's got workbooks and stuff. And what I do is I take a little piece out of this. I like to use this 2-minute drill because it's short. I may make some photocopies. I may print something out and say, here, I'm going to hand this out. We're going to work through this. We used to have them write in the books and all that. We don't do that anymore. Now I take the lessons out of the books. We teach the lesson and we move on to our next thing. And then we reinforce that lesson throughout the day. Whatever we're going through, whatever the theme is, whatever we're talking about, it's not just, we're not just going to take that 5 or 10 minutes and put it on the shelf. It is going to be something that we focus on each and every day. All right. Through each drill that we do, we want to reinforce these skills. All right. The books are available at hopefoundation.us. You can also call Kathy DeCoco at the Hope Foundation. This is the phone number. And if you say you saw, now I know we're not at a clinic right now, but you can still get the clinic special. She'll give you $10 off the set, and basically you're paying for printing costs. When Frank ended up passing away too young, all right, a few years ago, and his parents have kept his foundation going, and they've made it their goal to get this program in the hands of as many people as possible. But I want you to understand, listen, you can teach character, you can teach leadership, you can win more games while making an impact. All right. Like I said, I'll be talking about this program in Dallas, in Detroit, in Nashville, and in Seattle. And I hope you come by. We're going to talk. This just gives you a little bit of a preview, just a little precursor. We're going to get a lot deeper into it. I'm also going to put out some more materials for guys just to go in and watch right here on YouTube, and you'll be able to check it out. Make an impact as a coach. All right. Don't just win football games. Use your platform to be able to be a positive role model and help kids to push through those self-imposed limitations. There are a lot of things that happen in our life that we cannot control, but we can control how we live. We can control the intentionality we live with. We can control not our circumstance, but how we respond to our circumstance to change our circumstance. And as coaches, we have a great opportunity to do this. Hope to see you guys at clinics this year. If you want a great resource, call the Hope Foundation, order yourself a box, start teaching your guys. Take a few minutes a day. I guarantee it will make a difference in your program if you teach this with a little bit of fidelity. 5 to 10 minutes a day, 3 to 4 days a week. You'll be amazed at the difference that you make in your athletes. I wish you guys all the best.